Amen. Let's all stand. Thank you again for that very moving testimonial. We're going to sing one more song before Richard comes up and preaches. We'll sing Jesus Will Fix It. Troubles in my way. Troubles in my way. Gotta pray sometimes.
And your faith has or had a starting point. You know, for many of us, our faith really started when we were little. You know, and it's just that belief in God, that belief that there was something greater than ourselves. The first time someone told us that God was real, we just believed it. Some of us were never even told that. So your faith might be starting in your adult years. Regardless, everyone has a starting point. And for a lot of us, I know for myself, I just had this understanding of God when I was younger. And then it just kind of faded away, especially as I saw the world, and I just got disillusioned by religious people, really. That really took me out of the game. Just looking at the hypocrisy, and even in my own family, there was just so much hypocrisy. I was just kind of like, okay, you know, if you guys are Christians, then, you know, we all are, you know what I'm saying, as well. So it has a starting point. This morning I want to talk about something that, talk about how, like our faith has a starting point, but faith itself had a starting point as well. The story of faith had a starting point. Now, the three major religious beliefs had a common starting point. So when you look at Judaism or Islam and Christianity, all three of these religions boast the same starting point. And actually it started with an individual. You know? And they all agree on many things. They all agree that there is one God that created the whole world, the universe, and all the stuff in it. And they all agree that man came along and messed things up. They all agree that sin has had an adverse effect to our relationships, to our health, and to everything that is good in our lives. All three agree. And really, all three of their stories start at a man named Abraham. That there's this one man named Abraham. Just with a show of hands, who has heard of Abraham before today? Okay, the father. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I can break into it. So yeah, we're going to talk about that. But before we do, we got to look at, before we get into Abraham, we want to look at our first point, which is God's starting point. So before we even look at Abraham, we got to look at the dilemma that God was in.
Yes.
So starting point number one, point number one is that God had a starting point and a dilemma. And to help really illustrate that, I wanted to actually have a video from, so this whole series is from a guy named Andy Stanley in the States. And basically he's a great storyteller, so I could try to tell his story, but I wouldn't be able to do it justice. So we're gonna watch it together, and then I'm gonna talk about at least my reaction to it and see what you guys think. So if you could go ahead and just cue the story.
Is because there is a conversation recorded in the book of Genesis between God and Abraham that, regardless of what you believe about the Bible and regardless of where you are in your faith, touches on a tension that you have felt and that you have wrestled with, and that perhaps you're wrestling with even today based on your childhood faith tradition and based on the question that we all ask at some point, which is, if there is a God, how are we doing? Where do I stand with God? And can God hear my prayers? And does God care? And can I ever know? Can I ever have peace? Can I ever have any security about the future? I mean, how do I know where I stand with God? And in this little conversation we're going to look at in just a minute, there's a statement, there's a single statement that's so perplexing and so powerful. I want to leave it with you to wrestle with as you think about restarting your faith. So basically, Abraham isn't just a historical figure. There's an Abraham and you side of this story. Now, to get there, I want to tell you a modern-day story to kind of create the context for the dilemma that God had and why Abraham was someone that God paid any attention to. This happened a few months ago at my house. I was in my office working, And I had a friend over from staff who was helping me on my computer because, like many of you, I try to fix things, and then when I finish fixing them, they're worse than when I fixed them. You ever do this? So I finally called an IT guy over. We're sitting in my office. I hear my daughter in the kitchen, where she's the only one home other than me. And as I'm sitting there with him, suddenly I hear a sound similar to this. Now, when you're at home and you hear any unusual sound at all, our minds all do the same thing. It starts faster than we can say it. We start running through the options. What could that be? And at first I thought she dropped a glass. Then I thought she dropped 2 glasses. Then I thought maybe she just brought a bag of glass into the house and dumped it on the counter and the floor. Because literally, it went on and on and on and on. That might have been a slight exaggeration, but it went on and on and on. And when it went on and on long enough for me and this guy to look at each other like, what could that be? And then thinking it's over, and there was more and more and more. So I run in the kitchen, and there's my 17-year-old daughter standing behind the kitchen counter, barefooted, and there is glass everywhere. It is a sea of glass. And what had happened is, and I look at her and she said, Dad, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, Dad, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And there are several points of blood trickling down her legs. Later there would be 7 Band-Aids, but no stitches involved in this. So there's blood trickling down her legs. She said, Dad, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I look up, and the top shelf has tilted off of its 4 little brass things that are supposed to hold it. All those glasses came off. The glasses off the next shelf, and half the glasses off the next, onto the granite countertop, shattered all over the floor, and she's standing there bleeding barefooted. Yeah. And I looked at that cabinet, I looked at that mess, and I pointed my finger at her. I said, I can't believe that you did that. And you can just stand there and figure out how to get out of this mess yourself. Serves you right. You should have been more careful. I grabbed my buddy. I said, let's go back in the office and figure out that work. You can just stand there and bleed. What are you laughing at? Now here's the thing. We'll move on. Some of you think that's what God is like. Some of you feel like that God every once in a while stares at you in a mess of your own making, your own little sea of glass with all the damage and all the consequences of your decision. He goes, well, there you go. And yet for those of you who every once in a while think God is like that, you don't believe for a moment that I left my own daughter standing in her little sea of glass. Which means you believe that I have more compassion than God. Which makes me more compassionate than God, which makes me more godly than God, which is not true, which means perhaps there's something about God that you don't know. So I did what any good father would do. I said, don't move, don't move, don't move. And then I had a decision to make, because here's a huge mess with my daughter trapped in the middle, and somehow I had to rescue her. And so I did what you do whenever there is a mess that you don't even know how to begin cleaning up. We've all had one. I took my foot and I slid the biggest piece of glass out of the way. And then the next one, and then the next one, and I crunched over the smaller shards of glass. I turned around, I said, just climb up on my back, and then I crunched my way out of our little sea of glass, out of her mess, set her on a stool, went and got a box of Band-Aids, and 7 Band-Aids later, she was okay. And then I went back over to this huge mess. You ever had a mess so big you don't even know where to start? You ever spilled paint, you know? Ever had your dog get into something and you just think, perhaps we should just sell the house. Because I don't know where even to begin cleaning up this mess.
All right. Now you can see why I got him to tell the story. I would just mess that up. So God had a dilemma. You know, basically we had gotten ourselves into a big sea of glass. We've gotten ourselves into a mess, and he had a choice to make. Should I just, wipe these guys away, start over again? Or is it time to wade in? And of course, we know what he did. He decided to wade in. He decided to get into the mess and to help us. Now, I want to tell you a story about when I first heard this story. You know when he sat down and he said, well, you just need to, figure this out for yourself? I actually believed him. So I don't know, like, for me, like, everyone else was laughing. I didn't even hear them laughing, because they were laughing too, the way some of you were. But when I listened to it, I believed him. Because that's my go-to when I think of fathers. You know, I don't have a very good history with fathers. So that was my go-to. I was like, wow. And then I was kind of mad at him. Like, well, I can't believe he said that. You know what I mean? Even though everyone else was laughing, I was kind of, so I don't know how that affects you and how that affected you, but I asked to do this CF class because it really affected me in this. I was just thinking, man. And then when, of course, we know it was a joke, and then we heard what he did, and just to hear that is how I treat God sometimes. And it's true. I default back to, him being this mean entity that just wants to take fun away from me. Instead of being this loving God that is willing to crunch over a sea of my own mess to help me out. So that is his dilemma. Of course, he decided to help us out. So point number 2 is God started with Abraham. Now, we're gonna look it over in a minute here. Abraham, we're gonna read the scripture together. I'm gonna go there, Genesis 12, 1-3. But after he made this promise to Abraham, he actually really went up and did some foolish things. So we look at the man that God has chosen to start with. He was, a coward. He was a man that had no children, and up to that point, he's 75 years old at the time. He didn't have any children. He couldn't have any children. He chose a weak man in order to start this thing, and we're gonna look at why. So the reason I bring all this up is that he didn't choose this man of amazing faith or whatever. Well, we do see that he does have faith, but he didn't choose this amazing role model that had all his soldiers in a row. He chose someone that was flawed, a flawed man, which I thought was like just awesome. And the fact that all the different the major world faiths really, all of them start at this man. Let's read together what it says here. The Lord had said to Abram, "Leave your country and your people and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. Then all people on earth will be blessed through you." Wow. So, I don't know how God went about choosing Abram, but he made 3 major promises there. First of all, he says, "I'm going to make you into a great nation." And this is a dude with no children. You're going to be made into a great nation. You're going to be famous. Everyone's going to know you. And also it says that every person on earth will be blessed through you. Wow. That's pretty cool. Yeah. But still we don't understand why. What was it that actually made God choose this man to do that? I'm racing through the points here because it's a short message. But well, thank you. So my third point is that through Abraham, God introduced a new beginning. So we're going to look at what it was. There's this ordinary man, and there's a lot of stuff. So after God promised him all of this, he was faithful in that he left his father's household and he went to where God told him to go. But when he went there, he had to go through Egypt, and he actually ended up in Egypt, and he did something that was very faithless. He was afraid of the king of Egypt, so he lied, because his wife was very beautiful. He lied and said that his wife was a sister, and pretty much picked his sister off to the king of Egypt. Gave his wife to this king so the king could take him as his wife. So he did a lot of faithless things.